And when is the best time of the day to water plants?
Watering is really critical, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Pots you can water anytime, and
Okay.
in the summertime, unless you have a good soil or you have put in an additive to help retain the moisture, sometimes in the hot days, and if they're on a patio, that you need to really check them probably 2 times a day, in the morning and the afternoon. You don't want them to dry out because it stresses the plant and makes them more susceptible to disease and pests.
Sure.
So, but if you're talking about a lawn, excuse me, or if you're talking about a perennial border or shrub border, typically in trees, 1 inch of water a week is a good amount of water to sustain them. And now the idea is that you do it infrequently and deeply. So if you can put a ½ inch on your lawn or your shrub border if it needs it, if it's been raining. And actually I brought in a little rain gauge, which I have in my garden, and if it rains during the week, it tells me how much rain has been collected.
Wonderful.
And then I know that can adjust my water. If I get 1 inch of rain, I don't need to water at all.
Wonderful.
If I get less, then I need to supplement it. And I also, at the very beginning of the year, put this out when I'm testing some of my sprinklers to see how long it takes me to actually put 1 inch of water on the particular piece
Very
of
good
property.
idea.
And then
Excellent.
I can gauge and put my hose on a timer.
Oh, really?
And the best time to water is early in the morning. If you can put your timer on for 5 o'clock in the morning, or even earlier as the sun comes up earlier and earlier, because there's still dew on the lawns and on the beds. And so there's no surface tension for the water to break. And so it's more easily taken into the soil. Also, the sun is not hot and high, so it's not going to dry
Very
out.
good.
So that's a wonderful thing to do at that point in time. You don't want to put it on in late afternoon because then it stays on the leaves and it can cause fungal problems, etc.
Very good.
Another thing that I love to recommend to people are these little quick connects that you put on your hoses. Do you know about these?
No, I do
You
not.
can get them at any garden center or hardware store. You put this on the end of your hose, and if you had to move it around, so this would go on the end of the hose, and this would be on your faucet. And if you had to move your hose, instead of unscrewing, you just pull down on this little orange piece, pop that off, that stays in the faucet, you move your hose.
What a great idea.
It is a wonderful idea.
Very good.
Yes, so those are quick connects.
Very good.
And like I said, if you have to move things around, they're really wonderful. When I do plantings of perennials and shrubs too, I use soaker hoses. These are recycled tires or rubber.
Very good.
So an ecological thing to do.
Yes.
Saves the environment, saves the planet. And what happens is these are weaved and water actually just seeps out of these hoses.
Oh, really? So there are no actual holes in here?
No,
Oh,
it's a
very
weave,
good.
and they seep. And you don't want to put it right around the stem of the plant. So, for example, if this plant was in the garden, you would want to, and you can put these down, there's little landscape pins that you can use. They look like hairpins that you could just put this, keep it in its place, because I keep them in the garden and before I put any mulch down. So if I do a planting and people have decided that they want to use the soaker hose, keep it off about here, because that's where the roots are. That's where you want the water. You don't want it right against the stem or the trunk of the tree. And this can be, this is a 75 or 50 footer, and the length that they recommend is 300 max. And if you're going up a hill, you would want it a little bit shorter, because depending on your water pressure. So you have to do a little bit of testing with these before you actually anchor them. But it's a wonderful product, and they really work wonderfully. And there is, typically when you buy them, they tell you if you can get your water pressure that it's going to take so long to give this much water. The very ends of them have just a stop. So if you have to drain them in the wintertime, but you keep
Very
them in
good.
place so you don't have to keep picking them
Oh,
up and moving them
excellent.
around. So this is a wonderful way to save water, conserve water, and get it where you want it,
Very good.
which sprinklers don't do.
Right, right. I wanted to have you mention also about the conference you had in February.
Well, ELA, as I said, is education, is our mission. And we hold a 2-day conference. This was our 15th year.
Good.
And we have 3 tracks, and we have Friday and Saturday sessions, usually about an hour and a half, and they're about trees and plants, and ecological biochar is a very big topic of interest, which is something that the Aztecs used to actually
Really?
enrich their fields, where they would burn wood, and they wouldn't burn it all the way down to ash, but then they would incorporate it into the soils. And they say that they've gone back and tested now, and some of the soils from the Aztecs times are still very fertile.
Wow.
So it's a new old
Absolutely.
way.
Yes. Everything